The Conjuring universe is filled with terrifying spirits, cursed entities, possessed humans, and demonic forces. But what truly makes the franchise disturbing is the idea that many of these beings are ancient intelligences rather than simple ghosts. Unlike ordinary hauntings where spirits may be tied to unfinished business, the demons in the Conjuring universe exist to manipulate, corrupt, and destroy human lives completely. They are patient creatures that feed on fear, grief, anger, and vulnerability. Some appear briefly in the background while others become central villains responsible for entire movies. Over the years, the universe expanded into a massive collection of supernatural horrors connected through cursed objects, possessions, and dark rituals. The most famous demon in the entire franchise is Valak. Introduced in The Conjuring 2, Valak appears most commonly in the form of a demonic nun dressed in black robes with glowing yellow eyes. The appearance itself is deeply unsettling because it twists religious imagery associated with safety and holiness into something evil. According to the lore, Valak is an ancient demonic force that specifically chooses this form to psychologically torment Lorraine Warren. The demon understands that corrupting sacred imagery creates confusion and fear, making victims feel as though even faith itself cannot protect them. Valak's powers are enormous compared to many other entities in the series. The demon manipulates visions, controls environments, creates apparitions, and possesses humans directly. In The Nun, Valak inhabits the Abbey of St. Carta, a place weakened by dark rituals and supernatural activity. The Abbey becomes a gateway through which evil attempts to enter the world permanently. Valak is not merely haunting locations randomly. The demon acts strategically, slowly weakening victims emotionally before attacking spiritually. One of the most terrifying aspects of Valak is intelligence. The demon speaks rarely, but every action feels deliberate and calculated. The Crooked Man is another sinister entity introduced in The Conjuring 2. Unlike Valak, the Crooked Man resembles something pulled directly from a nightmare nursery rhyme. Tall, twisted, and moving with unnatural jerking motions, the creature emerges from a child's toy and slowly transforms into a monstrous humanoid figure. What makes the Crooked Man horrifying is the way innocence becomes corrupted once again. Children's songs and toys become gateways for terror. The creature bends reality around itself, stretching unnaturally and smiling with grotesque facial expressions. Even though the Crooked Man has limited screen time, its disturbing design made it one of the most memorable entities in the franchise. Bathsheba Sherman is one of the primary evil spirits from the first Conjuring film. Unlike Valak, Bathsheba was originally human. According to the story, she was accused of witchcraft after sacrificing her own child to Satan before taking her own life. Her spirit remains attached to the Perrin farmhouse, where she torments future families. Bathsheba represents a blend of ghost and demonic influence because her spirit becomes corrupted by dark worship and hatred. She attacks mothers specifically, attempting to possess them and force them to kill their children. This maternal corruption creates some of the film's most disturbing moments because it targets the emotional core of family safety. Annabelle is perhaps the most recognizable object in the Conjuring universe, but the doll itself is not actually the demon. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of the franchise. The doll acts as a conduit for a demonic entity that manipulates people around it. Demons in the Conjuring universe often require permission or emotional weakness to gain power, and cursed objects help create those openings. The Annabelle demon feeds on grief, loneliness, and fear, slowly influencing victims until they become vulnerable to possession or violence. Throughout the Annabelle films, the entity demonstrates several horrifying abilities. It can move objects, create hallucinations, imitate voices, and manipulate reality itself. More disturbingly, the demon often targets children because they are emotionally vulnerable and easier to influence. The doll's blank expression becomes terrifying precisely because it never changes. No matter how much chaos unfolds around it, Annabelle simply stares silently, creating constant tension whenever she appears on screen. The ferryman from Annabelle Comes Home is another terrifying figure connected to cursed artifacts stored in the Warrens' occult museum. The ferryman appears as a decayed corpse-like being responsible for carrying souls into the afterlife. The creature emerges after specific rituals involving coins placed over the eyes of the dead. What makes the ferryman frightening is its inevitability. It does not rage or scream constantly like other demons. Instead, it moves with slow determination, giving the impression that death itself is approaching relentlessly. The Black Shuck and is based on legendary ghostly hounds from folklore. This massive demonic dog symbolizes death and doom. Its glowing eyes and enormous size create primal fear because it resembles an unstoppable predator. Though not explored deeply compared to Valak, the Black Shuck adds another layer of mythological horror to the universe by showing that supernatural evil takes many forms beyond human spirits. In The Curse of La Llorona, the central spirit is the weeping woman herself. La Llorona originates from Latin American folklore and represents a grieving mother who drowned her children before becoming cursed eternally. Unlike some entities in the franchise that act purely out of malice, La Llorona is driven by endless grief twisted into monstrous obsession. She steals children in desperate attempts to replace the ones she lost. Her appearance is terrifying because she constantly looks partially drowned and decayed, with blackened eyes and unnatural movements. The sound of her crying becomes a warning sign of approaching death. What makes La Llorona especially disturbing is emotional tragedy. She is horrifying not simply because she kills people, but because her existence is built entirely on regret and suffering. The franchise often blurs the line between ghost and demon this way, creating villains that feel emotionally broken rather than purely monstrous. The Demon from the Devil Made Me Do It focuses heavily on satanic rituals and curses. Rather than existing as a single visible monster throughout the film, evil spreads through occult practices and manipulation. The story explores how curses can transfer between victims like infections. Possession becomes less about one demon attacking randomly and more about carefully orchestrated rituals designed to invite darkness into human lives. One important aspect of the Conjuring universe is that demons often exploit trauma. They rarely attack people who are emotionally strong and spiritually grounded immediately. Instead, they manipulate fear, guilt, grief, and anger over time. Families experiencing stress become easier targets. Children dealing with loneliness become vulnerable. This psychological approach makes the horror feel more personal because the entities attack emotions before bodies. The Warrens' museum itself contains countless smaller cursed entities that appear briefly throughout the series. The samurai armor is possessed by a violent spirit capable of moving independently and attacking victims physically. The wedding dress contains a spirit obsessed with possession and identity, causing wearers to become unstable. The monkey toy crashes symbols together whenever supernatural danger approaches. Each object represents another doorway through which evil can enter reality. One of the scariest themes across the franchise is the idea that demons never truly disappear permanently. Exorcisms may weaken them temporarily, but evil constantly searches for new ways to return. Cursed objects remain dangerous long after investigations end. Spirits linger in hidden places waiting for opportunities. This creates a feeling that darkness is always nearby, even after victories. The Conjuring universe succeeds because its demons are not simply monsters chasing victims through hallways. They are manipulative forces that understand human weakness deeply. They isolate families, twist religious symbols, corrupt innocents, and slowly convince victims they are powerless. The horror comes not only from terrifying appearances but from psychological destruction. Every demon represents a different kind of fear, whether it is grief, guilt, death, corruption, or loss of faith. What makes these entities memorable is how personal their attacks feel. They do not destroy randomly. They study victims carefully and target emotional wounds directly. This gives the Conjuring universe a darker atmosphere than many horror franchises because evil feels intelligent, ancient, and endlessly patient.